What if the smartest people in history weren't just brilliant, they simply thought differently? While most of us accept the world as it is, people like Aristotle, Einstein, and Elon Musk don't stop at appearances. They dive deeper. They break things down. They ask why until the noise disappears and only truth remains. This way of thinking has a name, and it just might be the most powerful cognitive tool you've never been taught. First principles thinking. Today, we're not just talking about it, we're teaching you how to think like a genius. Let's start with a bold idea. You can't truly understand anything until you understand its most basic components. That's not just a motivational quote. It's a foundational principle of how reality works. And when it comes to building real power, whether that's influence, success, or innovation, your greatest asset is how clearly you see the world. This is where first principles thinking comes in. At its core, it means stripping away assumptions, inherited beliefs, and conventional wisdom to reach the most fundamental truths. These truths are like the atoms of thought, indivisible, basic, and solid. From there, you rebuild your understanding, brick by brick, on a foundation that actually holds up. This isn't a new idea. The ancient philosopher Aristotle was one of the first to articulate it clearly. He believed that true knowledge required more than memorization. It demanded an understanding of the primary conditions of a thing. In simpler terms, if you don't know its root, you don't really know the tree. Let's use that analogy. Imagine knowledge in a certain subject is like a tree. Most people focus on the fruit, what's visible, what can be quickly repeated, what sounds impressive at a dinner party. It's the kind of knowledge you can Google, recite, and forget tomorrow. But that fruit comes from something deeper, a branch connected to a trunk, which itself is fed by roots buried underground. A first principles thinker isn't content with fruit. They want to know where the tree really came from. This mindset changes everything. It transforms free-floating facts into an organized body of understanding. You begin to see how ideas are nested inside one another, how the soil affects the root, how the root shapes the trunk, and how the trunk carries nutrients to the fruit. And once you understand how it's built, you can start to build things yourself. Take writing, for example. At first glance, an essay might seem like just a bunch of paragraphs stitched together. But let's break it down. An essay is made up of paragraphs. Paragraphs are made up of sentences. Sentences are made of words, and words are just combinations of letters. When you understand this hierarchy, you're no longer overwhelmed by the whole. You can focus on improving each component, from the smallest letter to the full structure of an argument. Now here's where things get powerful. Once you understand the fundamental components of something, you can rearrange them to create something new. That's how innovation works. It's how people take something familiar and reshape it into something remarkable. A car, a smartphone, a business model, they're all built from parts. And the people who master the parts are the ones who change the game. Another huge benefit? Learning becomes easier. When you know the building blocks, new information doesn't feel random or confusing. It has a place. You're not just stuffing facts into your brain like a messy junk drawer. You're organizing them like a library, with shelves and categories and structure. That's how you make knowledge stick. And if you want to teach others, first principles thinking gives you an edge. Great teachers don't just explain what something is. They guide you through how it's built. They start at the foundation and walk you up step by step. It's the difference between memorizing a recipe and learning to cook. So how do you actually start thinking this way? It's simple, but not always easy. The first step is to create hierarchies of ideas. Start with something you're trying to understand, like a problem you're solving, a topic you're learning, or a skill you're mastering. Then break it down. Ask questions like, what is this made of? Why does this part exist? How does it connect to the other parts? Create a structure, a mind map, a system. Just like Aristotle did, moving between experience and reason, you gather information from the world around you and then organize it. You stop accepting ideas at face value and start asking, what is this really made of? Let's say you're trying to get better at public speaking. Don't just focus on the performance. Break it down. A speech is made of ideas. Ideas are communicated through structure, tone, and delivery. Each of those can be broken down even further, into breath control, sentence rhythm, and word choice. Suddenly, improving becomes doable. You're not overwhelmed, you're strategic. The real beauty of this mindset is that it's not limited to any one field. Whether you're building a business, writing a book, learning a language, or understanding your own behavior. First principles thinking makes you a clearer, more creative, and more independent thinker. It teaches you to stop copying and start creating, to stop memorizing and start understanding, to stop accepting and start questioning. And that's how you begin to think like a genius. If you found this video meaningful and interesting, drop a comment below and share your experience. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might find this content useful. And as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.